welcome. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Leah Durgachev. I am the founder of the Marcomm Grind. If you are new to us, we are a free community of communications and marketing professionals who come together just to learn from one another. We kind of chat about what's happening in our industry. We share stories, share articles that we see on LinkedIn or in industry trades, resources, and basically help each other out however or whenever we need to. One thing that was really important to me when I created this community is that it's free. So money is not a barrier to accessing support, to accessing a community or resources or tools. If you're not already part of our Slack community and you're joining us today, you are going to get a follow-up email. Everyone will actually get a follow-up email, whether you're part of Markham Grind or not, that will share the session recording and an invitation to join our Slack space. So we'd love to have you with us. Again, it is a free community. We've also recently launched sub-communities, and one of them is all about internal communications, and it is led by our very own Maureen Zanna, who's here today to kick off this session. So with that, I will hand it over to you, Maureen, to get us started.
Great. Thank you, Leah. Hi, everyone. I'm super happy to be there with you and to kick off this session and to be part of the Marcomm Grid leading this segment. So it's truly an honor. So thank you for the trust, Leah. A bit about me for those that I don't know. So I'm Marine, I'm French and Canadian. I'm currently living in Barcelona in Spain. I have been working in communication for over 10 years across different industries like finance, global mobility, education, and across the different regions like Asia, North America, and Europe. I mostly work between internal communication and corporate roles. And about the Markham Grid, when I joined this initiative in September, I really wanted to create a space where we can connect across countries, talk openly about our jobs in communication, share our opportunities, our challenges, hot topic, trends. Basically, I wanted to create a space that I would genuinely want to join every month myself. That's why, in this spirit, I wanted to kick off this really first session to talk about AI and all the noise we hear about it since months. But I wanted to bring a practical point of view, and I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone other than Erik. So let me to tell you a few words about Erik. I met him a few months ago on LinkedIn, where he was already sharing great tips and insight about AI and how he using it in his day-to-day work. And what I love about him is that he's very passionate about AI and he always try to demonstrate how he use it to elevate our profession. So I love this approach. And on a personal aspect, I love the fact that he's such a happy, optimist person with a great sense of humor. So, Erik, thank you so much to kick off this session with me. I'm gonna over to you to introduce yourself.
Thank you very much, and hello everybody. I'm Erik. I am based in Bristol in the UK. I've been working in internal communications for over a decade now. I've always been an in-house communicator. So I've worked in retail, I've worked in utilities, and right now I work at a global engineering company. And part of my role is to sort of work on plans, strategies, content, you name it, I do it. If you are an in-house communicator, you know how sort of hectic it can be. And, as part of my job, I get to sort of talk about a lot of really cool stuff. It's an engineering company. We do everything that you can possibly imagine. And that means that, I can never get bored. But my latest passion, as it's been mentioned, is AI, and it is something I've been sort of playing around with for over a year now. And the more time passes, the more interested I get, and I'm just looking forward to sharing my experiences with you all today. And let's see what happens.
Awesome. Thank you, Erik. So before we start, just a quick note on how we will run the session. So we will keep it conversational, and you will have the chance to drop your question in the chat at the bottom of your screen. We will try to answer them as we go in the discussion, but we will also save around 10-15 minutes at the end of the discussion for a quick Q&A. For information, as Leah said at the very beginning, this event will be recorded and we will share the link with everyone who register afterward. And yes, I think we are ready to start. So I suggest that we can kick things off with a quick poll to see how everyone here feels about AI in communication on Halloween vibes. So feel free to answer the question. You should see it on your screen right now. It will give us, Enrique and I, an idea about how you feel, how you see AI.
You will need to tell me what the results are because
Yeah.
I can't see them.
Yep,
Can you
we'll
see the result?
share. We'll leave it open for about 10 more seconds. Anybody else would like to participate in the poll, go ahead and get your answers in, and then we will share where we all land.
Okay, we are a solid 45% Frankenstein, still learning but getting smarter every day. 30% helpful ghost, invisible but always there when you need it. Mad scientist, constantly experimenting with ID, and 10% a friendly witch, make magic happen behind the scene. Okay, great. So you gave us a little bit an idea about the question we can ask and how you feel about it. So that's nice to hear. So Eric, shall we start?
Yes, let's crack on.
Okay, let's go. So the first question that I would like to ask you, I would like to know how did you first start experimenting AI in your internal comms work? Can you share a little bit about it?
Yes. So I think I started sort of playing around around a year ago when sort of our business introduced sort of Copilot to us. It's our sort of approved AI platform. And when I started, it was completely new to me. I'd never used it before, so I went in thinking that okay, let's give it a try. Let's see what it's like. If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And just like many other people, I started with the basics. Summarizing documents. Writing first drafts. Getting transcripts from meeting to sort of help me with sort of putting together plans and content. But the more time passed, the more I realized that actually, I mean, this is a really intelligent tool. There must be more to it. So I started sort of attending webinars, going to events, doing lots of training courses and talking to professionals from all around the world just to get an idea of how they are using this tool to gather some inspiration. But I think what for me, what worked was sort of talking to people mostly outside of internal communications, because that's how I got sort of most of my ideas, and that's how I still get most of my ideas. Because if you keep sort of relying on the same sort of group of people, it's really really hard to innovate. So my goal was to sort of go as wide as possible, see what other people are doing, and then try to sort of use that as an inspiration for my work in internal communications. And a year later, here we are, and I'm and I'm talking to you about it. So it's very exciting. It's been a fantastic year. But having said that, even though it's been a year, I don't feel that I know everything about AI. I don't know everything. As I said, our approved AI platform at work is Copilot. So my focus is mainly around, how to use that one platform. But at the same time, I keep an eye out for sort of other platforms and new features, because it's always good to know what's happening in case we introduce something else within the business.
Yes, and you know what? It's very funny that you mentioned a Copilot because I remember the first time we met each other on LinkedIn, you mentioned Copilot, while me, I was still at the very beginning of my learning. I was still with the very basic of ChatGPT, and I remember during our call, like, what is Copilot? He said that we can do many things, and then I was making some of my research to find out what I can do with Copilot, to be a little bit more curious about other tools. So actually, you gave me some other idea because I was still very stuck with ChatGPT that we all know. I didn't know that we could compare with other AI tools like Claude, Gemini, Copilot. And there is also people that specialize in learning on Copilot now. So I think exchanging idea and meeting people who already try to use it on their day-to-day at work can help and can give us a better perspective about it, if that makes sense.
Absolutely, and I'm just reading the comments. And hi, Regine, it's good to see you here. It's you're absolutely right. It's impossible to know everything, but I don't think we should. We don't have to know every single tool. We don't have to know every single feature because if you just keep focusing on that, we will never have time to do anything else. So what I always say is just find the one platform that you use and make sure that you know how to use it really really well. Otherwise, it's just going down the rabbit hole and just constantly worrying about whether you are behind or constantly worrying about whether you are using the right platform. It's just not worth it. There is a lot of noise out there. Every day there is a new innovation. Every day there is a new update. So my advice: just focus on one platform that you use every day, and see how that goes. And if you have the time, the energy, or the interest to sort of broaden your horizons, go for it. But don't think that you need to know everything because you don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And this makes me jump to the other question I would like to ask you. Based on your experience, what's one AI tool that you use at work and this tool that really changed your approach at work? If you could recommend one that really help you on your day-to-day at work, which one will be?
Uh, I mean, for me, and I've been talking about this quite a lot recently. For me, the one thing that's really really important is learning how to prompt, because it doesn't really matter which platform you use. The one thing that sort of links all these platforms together is prompting. So for me, I try to put as much energy into sort of learning how to prompt well as possible, because everything depends on that. It doesn't really matter how powerful the platform is. It doesn't matter how much it can do. If you don't know how to ask for what you want, it's never gonna work.
Yes.
So I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They just look at the platform, they just look at what it can do, but they don't realize that actually, just because it can do something, it doesn't mean that it will do it for you if you don't know how to ask for what you want. So I think for me that was the moment when I realized that, okay, this is sort of the path I want to sort of go down on, because that's the one that will sort of future proof me, because it doesn't matter where I go, prompt writing will always be sort of relevant. And the other thing was that I realized that actually AI is not just good for doing the work for us. It's actually a fantastic learning tool. So for me, I mean, I'm sure if some of you, if you've seen my LinkedIn posts, you know how obsessed I am with sort of guided multi-step prompts, because they don't just do the work for you, they also sort of walk you through it and explain it to you why it's doing certain things. So using it as a learning tool has been, it changed how I look at AI sort of once again, because, every day I'm still, through doing my everyday sort of job, I'm still learning new things, because, there is so much to sort of, when it comes to internal communications, you know very well that, you have one problem, but you can approach it from 10 different angles. And AI is really really good at that. It can sort of highlight different ways of doing the same things, and it can also teach you how to think differently, how to approach problems differently, and how to sort of engage your stakeholders differently. We are all we have all different personalities. So, and if you are starting out in internal comms, or if you are a team of one, it's really really hard to pick up new skills and learn about stuff. So having sort of a trusted guide, or a trusted sort of mentor that you can always turn to is I think it's fantastic. And I think more and more people are using it that way. But I think we still have a long way to go. Again, going back to the fact that without knowing how to prompt, or without knowing how to ask for what you want, again, it's not gonna produce the output that you are looking for.
Yes, I want to ask you about prompt as well, because I know like today you published a very, very nice post about prompted. And I would like to ask you this question by providing my personal example. Me, for instance, when I want to ask something to ChatGPT, let's say, I try to be accurate and precise as much as I can, because I try to consider AI like my personal assistant. I don't know if it's the right approach, but it's what I try to do. So I'm super precise, but sometimes I still have weird answer that are definitely not me, answer that I would never say loud. And I spend every day on AI, so it gets me a little bit frustrated because I'm feeling like I'm doing something wrong, especially when I see people saying that now AI knows their voice, their authenticity, they don't need to do anything else. So I'm feeling like I'm definitely doing something wrong. So I would like to ask you some tips. How do you create a great prompt? Like, do you have some learning tools to help? What will be your advice for people who really wants to improve the prompt part?
I'm back. So yes. So again, the good thing about AI is that again, as I mentioned, it's a learning tool. So there are a lot of people out there like yourself. They know what they want. They just don't know how to ask for it. So the good thing about AI is that if you know what you want, but you don't know how to ask for it, just ask AI, and it will tell you what you need to do. So many times I wanted to do something really complex, but I didn't even know how to approach it. So really easy. You open up your AI platform and you say that, look, this is what I want to do, but I don't really know how to ask for it. Help me with, writing or creating a prompt that will get me the output I'm looking for. And, it's not going to get it right for the first time. But again, the more detail, the more context you provide, the better the prompt sort of becomes. So I think everything boils down to one thing, that the prompt is as good as the context that you provide. So you can have a fantastic platform, you can have a killer prompt, but if you are not providing the context, it's never going to produce, the specific outlook or the output that you are looking for. So I think people who are sort of struggling a little bit with sort of prompt writing, my advice is, use AI to sort of learn how to write prompts. And of course, there are lots of courses out there. Everybody's talking about prompt writing. Everybody's sharing their own prompts. But once again, it's great to have prompts, but if you don't know how to brief, if you don't know how to ask for what you want, it's never really going to produce what you are looking for.
Yes, I agree. I like the fact that you have suggested to prompt AI to know how to prompt. So I really like this approach. And if we go back a little bit on the work side, I would like to ask you, is it possible for you to share example where using Copilot, for instance, because you mentioned that your company has a Copilot. Um, can you share an example when Copilot help you saving a time or improving impact or just improving your day? If you can share something that is not confidential, obviously.
Yes. So actually, I've just finished a piece of work which I thought would be a fantastic example, and I have some notes here because I want to make sure that I mention
Yeah.
everything. It was a complex piece of work, so I spent a couple of hours this morning to sort of put everything together to make sure that I explain it well and people understand the value it brought, because I thought it was fantastic, and I think I don't think I would have been able to sort of create a piece of work at that level without it. So my example is that our company has recently undergone some changes, and we face the challenge that I think many of us face throughout our careers if you work in internal comms, that I had to create a comms plan that sustain engagement, address possible confusion, and also align with the new sort of business direction. But there was a big difference this time, that I had Copilot, so I didn't have to sort of start from scratch. So I'm going to explain what I did and what happened as a result, and hopefully you guys will find it sort of valuable, and try it, in your own sort of work as well. So what I did was, I started the whole sort of planning with organizing a workshop for my stakeholders. So what I did was, the first step was I opened up Copilot and I started a chat. And I started the whole process by sort of briefing Copilot, with the business context, the objectives, and my desired outcomes. And this gave sort of Copilot the foundation to support me in a meaningful way, sort of moving forward. So after that, I asked Copilot to help me sort of design a 1 hour stakeholder workshop. And then I asked it to sort of suggest targeted questions and a flexible structure to make sure that I get exactly what I want from my stakeholders to be able to put together the plan that they were looking for. So once I had that, I had the session with my stakeholders. I recorded the session, and I used the transcript to sort of do the rest of the work. So I had the recording and I had the transcript. So I uploaded the transcript directly into the same sort of chat I started for sort of designing this workshop. So this continuity was what was actually, I mean, transformational, because that meant that Copilot already understood the context. So I didn't have to explain everything all over again, because that can take so much time, just explaining everything over and over again. But, using the same thread or chat for everything related to this sort of project just made everything a little bit easier, and sped up the sort of the whole process. So once I uploaded the transcript, I just asked Copilot to pull out, as a first step, pull out all the key themes, all the ideas, risks, and opportunities, and everything that we discussed in this session. So just so I have everything in one place, and I have a clear idea of what exactly what was discussed throughout that hour. And normally this would have taken me hours. Doing it this way, it took me a few minutes. So within a few minutes, I had, all the key themes, all the key points, all the key actions from a 1 hour session. So that was fantastic. So once I had that, the next step was to actually use this inside, and start sort of creating this plan. So with a bit of help from Copilot, I built a robust framework. So I defined clear objectives. I mapped key stakeholders. I created a tactics matrix linking all the activities I came up with to business goals, channels, and frequency. And I also developed a measurement dashboard and a risk register to help with governance and leadership confidence, because it's no point having a plan if you're not really measuring what's happening as a result of it. So, and once again, and I want to sort of emphasize this, everything was happening in the same thread, everything was happening in the same chat. So I didn't start a new one. I didn't start a new conversation. Everything was in one space. And I used it for sort of testing ideas, refining the language, filling in the gaps. And the whole process felt more like a conversation. I wasn't using structured prompts. I wasn't sort of putting in really complex sort of requests. It was just all a discussion I was having with Copilot. It was almost like, having a chat with a colleague, and it felt like we were just, putting a plan together. And it was actually a quite enjoyable experience because I didn't have to worry about my prompts. I didn't have to worry about making sure that everything was structured because, it had all the context, it had all the background, and, we were just having a really nice chat about this plan. So once I had this framework, uh, obviously, normally this would have taken me days. Uh, but using Copilot, it only took me a few hours, and uh, and as a result, my plan was structured and measurable. It was easy for the leadership team to sort of review it, and it was also sort of employee centric with a focus on clarity, engagement, and two-way dialogue. And these things were all very, very important to them. So, and then at the same time, the feedback was really encouraging as well. I mean, it all the participants, all the stakeholders felt that they were heard, and many of them commented on how the structure helped them sort of clarify their own goals and challenges. So it wasn't just a win for me, it was a win for them as well. So um, at the moment, obviously the work is not done yet. We have the plan, but there's going to be a next step to sort of bring this sort of plan to life. But I also wanted to share some sort of lessons learned from this process because I think it's really sort of important to sort of bring these things out. So number one, prep smart. Use AI to generate sort of stakeholder meeting questions that uncover strategic needs. Context is very important, so make sure that you feed your chosen AI tool with detailed background to get tailored outputs. Transcript is power, so if you are able to and you are allowed, record the meetings and use the transcripts to get exactly what you are looking for. Make sure that you do all the work in one thread, because keeping everything is one thread will help with continuity and efficiency. And make sure that you give it a nice name so you don't have to sort of scroll through all your sort of all the threads that you have. It just makes it a little bit easier. Make sure you break down the tasks. So once you upload, for example, your transcript, don't just say, oh, here's the transcript, could you turn this into a comms plan? Because that's just not going to happen. You need to break it down into smaller steps to get the detail and to get the output that you are really looking for. And finally, stay in control. Don't forget, AI is a tool. You are the boss. You are in control. So if you don't like something, just say so, because if you don't, it will never learn, and it will keep making the same mistakes. So, and I think this is one of the things that a lot of people forget. They forget that they are in control. I mean, AI is not actually intelligent, so you have to tell it what to do, and if you don't, it will just keep doing the same things. So make sure that you understand that you are the boss, and AI is just a tool. And just to follow this up, as I said, I have the plan, and my next step will be to sort of set up another workshop and explore sort of the practicalities around how we bring this plan to life and sort of embed it into our day-to-day operations, and to make sure that it resonates with everybody across the business. And guess what? I'm going to be going back to the same thread I started to make sure that everything, to make sure that that the context is there, the background is there, and I don't have to explain myself one more time, because that can just drain the life out of you.
I love this example. Thank you for sharing with us. I have many questions that I want to ask you, and I also see that some questions in the chat are similar. So the first question that I would like to ask, you said that the feedback from leadership were quite positive. So I would like to ask you, some companies are still reluctant about AI because everything new can be scary at the beginning. So do you have any advice for those that would like to use AI a little bit more on their day-to-day at work, but they have this conflict with their hierarchy, and how we can I know there is an educational approach and everything. So how did you do in your case with your leadership? How we could also explain it in other company, like now it's here. We are in control, as you fairly said. I love this line. Just to make it easier for us if we really want to use it. What you would recommend?
So in a very fortunate position because AI is something that we are sort of encouraging at the moment. As I said, we introduced Copilot into our business, and everybody across the wider business is encouraged to sort of use it. But it's an engineering company. There are lots of different teams, lots of different roles. So everybody is using this tool in lots of different ways. So I think, but if you ask me, I think the best way to demonstrate the value is to do a really good job with it, because we can talk about AI for hours, but if we are not showing the value it's bringing, or we are not showing how it elevates our work, or we are not showing how it's making us more strategic, it doesn't really matter what we say. And a lot of people talk about if you go on social media, it's one of the hot topics that getting that seat at the table. This is how you get the seat at the table, by doing a really good job. Because when you are doing a really good job, you don't have to explain yourself. So I think those people who are, I mean, and I look, I get it. Not every company is the same. We are all, in sort of, we all treat AI in different ways. So I can't say that what's worked for me will work for you. But I think the best way to demonstrate value is to do a really good job. But to be able to do a really good job, you need to keep using it. You need to keep playing around. You need to keep experimenting, and you need to sort of start using a different type of language as well. It sort of makes me cringe when I hear people saying stuff like, "Oh, it was done by AI," because that's not really the language we should be using. We should be using, because that's not helping our situation. So instead of saying that it was done by AI, you should be saying, "Oh, I've created this in collaboration with AI," and all of a sudden. It brings a different vibe to the conversation, because it gives the impression that you brought something to the table as well. It wasn't just like opened up Copilot and said that, "Oh, do this for me," and it magically produced an excellent piece of work, because that's not how it works. So I think if you want to sort of show at work what this tool is capable of, play around, experiment, do the work, try to be as strategic as possible. And when people can see what you are able to produce with this type of approach, they will be on it as well. They won't be questioning you. They will be coming to you to asking for advice, and I think that's how we sort of move the conversation forward. Uh, we all have to play our part, and and that's why it's I'm quite lucky, because as part of my role, I see lots of different people using AI in lots of different ways, and these things inspire me every day. So I think another piece of advice, just have a look around, see how other people are using AI. Don't be afraid to ask for advice. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, because we need to support each other, because if we don't, we're just going to AI ourselves out of our jobs, and no, nobody wants that.
I really love how you connect the fact that Compt needs to earn his seat at the table with AI, because you're right, it's part of our job to connect everything. And also because I know it's a big topic on social about AI being a replacement. And if I can share my personal view about it, I don't think it's about using AI to do everything or nothing. I think the opportunity is right in the middle, like as you say, learning when to let AI help. For instance, in my previous job, I was the only one dealing whole communication. So, like so many of us, wearing different hats, and it's not possible on the long term. It's not possible to do everything. So I used to have AI to help me with social media posts because I didn't have inspiration every day to give me time to focus a little bit more on the strategy where I really needed my human being inside to create something. So I think there is no bad or wrong approach. I think there is an opportunity. As you say, we like it or not, AI is here, and I think it's gonna stay here for a while. So the goal for me is not to choose between the human side and the AI, but it's really create a space when both can work, thrive together, if that makes sense. And I also think that for, as I said, for people who are wearing many hats, this can really help them on a day-to-day to keep their sanity and to brainstorm. As you say, you talk with your with a copilot, you brainstorm. It's actually something that I do. I brainstorm to see if I'm going on the right direction, if I can see a different perspective. So for me, the mix of both make our job more relevant, better, easier in a certain way, and strategic because it's what we are all looking for at the end.
Absolutely. And the good thing about AI is that it's just so versatile, it's so flexible. You can use it in lots of different ways. And I was having a chat the other day with somebody, and they said, and I just completely agreed that just because you can use AI, it doesn't mean you should. So just because it's there, it doesn't mean that you have to use it for everything. And I'm just reading some comments, in relation to this. Uh, Look, 99% of the time, for example, I use AI at work. I don't really have any interest in using AI, outside of work. I know exactly what I want to watch. I know exactly what I want to listen. I know exactly where I want to go. I know exactly what I want to do. So I don't have this urge to sort of use AI all the time. But right now, my focus is to make sure that I use this tool in a way that elevates my work. For me, saving time is not an objective. It's not important to me right now. I've always been really good at time management. It's not something I sort of worry about. My goal right now is to elevate my work, and as a result of that, elevate the profession as well. And if you remember, we had this chat the other day. I mean, a lot of people still treat internal communications tactical. Everybody's a communicator just because they have A levels in English, and that's not the case. And I think AI can play a huge role in making sure that people see that we are more than that, because it's actually not doing the strategic work for us. We are doing the strategic work. It's just helping us sort of bringing it to life. And if it saves a little bit of time, at the same time, fantastic. But that's not really the goal for me.
No, I completely agree, absolutely. And yes, I remember this conversation where if we hear around us, everyone can do our job, while we both know that's not everyone. And working closer with AI, know how to use it strategically, I think this will make the huge difference between everybody who wants to be a communicator and people who are already there. And I think this is a great insight. And that's make me think about the future because we are in 2025. And for me, it seems that we are exploring so many tools already. But I know you are attending a lot of events, you are also doing your own research. So I would like to ask you, what's one AI trend do you think we must pay attention in 2026? Because it's around the corner. So do you see another AI trend coming our way or not really?
I mean, look, I try not to pay too much attention to trends, because trends come and go. But if I had to just highlight one thing, and we talked about this at the beginning of the session: prompt writing, because that is something that links everything together. So if you know how to prompt, if you know how to sort of explain what you want, it doesn't matter what trend comes next, you will be able to sort of adapt and use it in a way that sort of works for you. And look, in an ideal world, I would love to say that, moving forward, we will be treated as as strategic advisors, and AI will only do like the boring stuff for us. But I can't say that at the moment, because you read so many horror stories. companies firing people to replace them with AI. So this I can't say that that's gonna happen. If we are lucky, it will. But if we but we need to do the work for that to uh, uh, sort of come to life. Because if we just keep treating it as a time-saving tool, or a tool that helps us with efficiency, we will be replaced very quickly. So we
Yes.
have to make sure that we use it in a strategic way, and we have to make sure that we keep talking about it. We keep sharing, our expertise. We keep sharing our prompts. We keep sharing our frameworks, because that's what will move the conversation forward. So, in a nutshell, trends come and go, but prompt writing remains. So focus on that.
You know what? When you were talking about prompt writing, I was thinking it might be a future job. It might
Yeah.
become a job in the very, very close future because many of us try to prompt, but we don't always know how to do it. You have this natural curiosity, so you learn very fast how to do it, and it's amazing. But I really think that at some point it might be a job or a service proposed by HR or communication profession. I don't know, but for me in the future, I see this job coming, prompt writer, because as we say, it's here. We don't want to use it just to save time because obviously, as you fairly said, we're gonna be replaced. But maybe in the future, with AI around us, we're gonna have more job about how to create the right prompt, how to help people to use it in a strategic and smart way. And this is something because we always speak about AI is gonna replace us, but we maybe have the tendency to not see like the positive aspect, like, and what about if AI create other job in our profession to help us to get better? Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, some jobs might be going, but hopefully new ones will pop up. And I would love to see, you know, internal communications to evolve as a result of that. Because look, I've been doing this for over a decade now, and people keep talking about, wanting, change, wanting something new, wanting something. It's here finally. So we need to make the most of it. But if you just look at social media, a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people are just doom scrolling all day, and convincing themselves that it's a bad thing. It's not the right approach. I mean, if you have the time, the energy to do that, you might as well invest that into to learning how to use the tool. And look, I understand that it's not everybody's cup of tea. If you don't want to use AI, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to, but you still have to have the awareness, because just because you are not interested, it doesn't mean that the rest of the world feels the same way. So moving forward, if our profession changes, you have to have the awareness. Otherwise you will be left behind. And I think this is the right time to sort of start playing around, because it's still early days. I mean, the ship hasn't sailed yet. I mean, we are all learning. I mean, every day new things are popping up. Every day, new ways of sort of working are being proposed. So it is the time to sort of shape the narrative instead of worrying. Otherwise, you know how quickly things can change. So start today, and then see what happens. And I can guarantee you that the better you get at it, the more confident you will become. I mean, if I just look at myself, for example, a year ago, you know, the transformation, I can see the transformation in me. I feel much more confident. I think the quality of my work is much better. I feel that I'm more curious. I've met people from all around the world. I've attended fantastic events. I feel I'm more knowledgeable. So, and these things matter, because these are the things that sort of give you confidence. And these are the things that will once again get you that bloody chair at the table that everybody is so keen on getting.
We should do another webinar together, Eric, when we will talk about this chair on the table.
Yeah, how to get the chair at the table.
Yes,
Or how to
definitely.
buy the office. Yeah.
I like it. How to buy the office. You know what? Because I just see a comment from Paulina in the chat. It makes me think. So, yes, Paulina, I think it will be interesting for internal professional comms to design prompt to help people, new people to join, etc. And I'm thinking, do you think it's something that could be part of the onboarding when you have a new employee? It is a service that the company could offer from communication, HR. I don't know. I don't know how is it in the US, but I haven't seen that so far in Europe. But it could be something nice to add on the onboarding. Like we are a company, we are using AI. We know we need to educate like any new tool. Here is what we can offer you. Do you think it will make sense?
Yes, I mean, I wrote about this a few weeks ago. That I think there is an opportunity here to better work, not just with new starters, but for example with shadow teams. I mean, we all get, I mean, we all get so many requests every day. We know how teams can go rogue and do whatever they want, creating off-brand content, or writing in a way that's not in line with our sort of brand. But using AI, sort of creating prompts, uh, designing agents, these things will all help us sort of making sure that we are not bombarded with tasks every single day, and making sure that people are empowered to do their own comms, but in a consistent way that's in line with everything that the business is trying to do. So yes, absolutely, I think there are lots of opportunities out there. But if I had to choose between sort of focusing on prompt writing or focusing on sort of briefing and strategic thinking, I would say briefing and strategic thinking are more important than prompting, because prompt writing is not rocket science. With a bit of practice, it's easy to sort of pick up the basic skills. But when it comes to knowing how to ask for what you want, or when it comes to sort of knowing how to brief AI in a way that sort of produces the outcome that you are looking for, that is something that takes practice. And you know that very well, that not everybody is good at explaining sort of what they want. But I always say that you need to treat AI either as a child, or somebody, as a new colleague who's just joined the business. Because I think this is where a lot of people go wrong. They just put in half-baked sort of requests into AI, and they expect fireworks, and that's not how it works. And I think a a lot of the misconceptions come from this sort of idea that you don't have to put the work in because AI will do it for you. No, that's not the case, and it's just an unrealistic expectation, and it's just not helping our profession either. So we need to move far away from that thinking, because that's not how it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad that you bring this on the topic because people tend to make the confusion. So I'm glad that you clarify. And I think since the time is running, I think maybe we can grab some question from the chat and having our Q&A. I see a nice question from, B- sorry if I'm not pronouncing well, Buele Zuma. So maybe I can read the question for you, Eric. So this question is, practitioners often warn about AI diluting the brand voice. These concerns often arise from external communicator. Do you also see this being a problem in internal communication?
That's a really good question, but my view is that it's not AI that's diluting the brand voice. It's the people who are not using it properly. Because what I always say is, don't blame the tool for the mistakes you've made. So if the brand voice is being diluted, that's not the result of using AI. That's the result of the person using it not briefing it the right way. So most companies have documents around their sort of brand voice, editorial guidelines, and all the usual stuff that you would expect to have, especially if you work in communications. I mean, you use those documents because they will make your life easier, and they will help you create content that's absolutely in line with your sort of company guidelines. And the more you use these sort of documents, and the more you to sort of learn how to prompt in a way that sort of makes the most out of these sort of additional resources, the better AI will get at understanding what you are looking for. So, after a while, you won't even have to sort of write as detailed prompts anymore, because it will know exactly, well, not exactly, but it will better understand you as a person. And that's why earlier uh, I said that, if you don't like something, say so, because if you don't, it will keep making the same mistakes. This is how AI learns. You say what you want, and most importantly, I think it's even more important than it's you need to say what you don't want. So if you don't want the dreaded M dashes, say so. If you want, you know, British spelling, say so. If you don't want sort of the usual AI sentence structures, say so, because it doesn't know, it can't read your mind yet, and hopefully it will never be never be able to. But it is your job to sort of write the brief. And we already have a fantastic tool, so the least we can do is to brief it well. Otherwise, we are just using it as a shortcut, and then we are just, it doesn't really it doesn't really reflect good on our profession.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a question a little bit above in the chat. How do you see us striking the right balance between human and AI incomes? Like, where we should we draw the line on what we let AI handle?
Uh, it's a good question, and I think yes, we should be careful, because you read horror stories every day, how things can go horribly wrong. But funnily enough, what the one thing that sort of brings all these stories together is that somebody somewhere didn't do their job properly. So again, as I said earlier, don't blame the tool for your own mistakes. So there is nothing wrong with delegating, tasks. That's absolutely fine. But you still have to be there to make sure that the output it sort of produces is sort of accurate, because mistakes are made every single day. And so yeah, we need to watch out for that. But whether there are any specific tasks that I would never really use AI for. I mean, look, I think it depends on your personal preference. I mean, for example, I'm a very organized person, and so I would never use it for organizing my calendar, for example. Or if you look at it from like a more sort of business perspective, I would never use AI for sort of dealing with sort of personal requests or HR related sort of issues, because that's not the place for AI. That's the place for us, because we are bringing something to the table that AI at the moment is not capable of doing. So yes, we should be careful, but at the same time, it's a new tool, so there is nothing wrong with playing around. There is nothing wrong with experimenting, as long as we play our part. And our part is to check and check and check and check.
Yeah. This is a great reminder. I think I'm gonna take one more question. So, Eric, can you talk a little bit about how talk with people outside comms who are hesitant about using AI as a tool to help them to understand the value it can bring and reduce hesitation? Good question.
I think one thing that they should definitely sort of stop doing is doom scrolling, because it's not really helping the situation. So making sure that you sort of surround yourself with people who sort of look at AI in a positive way. And but it doesn't mean that you should be unrealistic. You have to stay realistic every day, all day. But I think it's so this tool is so polarizing. So you have to make sure that you surround yourself with people who are sort of thinking the same way as you are, because it's really how easy it is to sort of bring somebody down with negativity. And this is what I love about, for example, LinkedIn. There are so many people out there who are talking about AI in a positive way. There are so many sort of events that you can just join for free and listen to how other people are using AI, and how other people are thinking about AI. So I think my sort of number one advice is that surround yourself with people who feel positively about AI, and learn from them. And then start doing your own research. And the more you do it, the more sort of you will realize what you think about AI, because there is so much out there and it's really easy to be confused. So it takes a little bit of time to sort of make up your own mind. I mean, I change my mind almost on a daily basis, about certain things, as I read, or as I do more research, or as I do more work. I mean, I still make mistakes every day. I mean, AI doesn't get everything right. I get frustrated as well. It's not an easy ride, but it's not supposed to be. And I think the process of learning is even more important than almost like the just the destination, because the journey sort of shapes you as well as a person. So yeah, I mean, look, make sure that you have lots of people around you. Make sure that you read the things that sort of relevant to you, and don't worry too much about the all those people who are telling you that the end of the world is coming, because I don't think it's that simple. I mean, we are still around and we are still very much in control. And let's not forget, AI is not actually intelligent. It's not gonna steal anybody's job. It's not gonna be coming after us. We just need to make sure that it's being used in a way that sort of works for us, and in a way that sort of makes us better at what we do, and also makes us a better person.
And I think it's a great conclusion to wrap our today's session, Erik. I would like to thank you a lot for joining me and for such this insightful and down to earth conversation. You gave a great example, great insight that I think we can apply on our day-to-day work slash life. So thank you for that. For the rest of the audience, I hope you all found some answers, or at least a fresh perspective, and maybe even a few ideas to take back to your own work. In any way, Erik and I, we would love to hear your feedback about this session. So do not hesitate to reach out on LinkedIn. And for the member on the Marcomm Guide, we have our channel. So do not hesitate to share what you like about this session, things to improve. It's always gonna help for the next session. Before I share a few more information, Erik, do you have a final word for us?
I just want to say thank you for inviting me. This was my first ever sort of event, so I've been quite nervous, but you made me feel very sort of relaxed, and you made me feel welcome. So thank you for that. And look, I mean, if any of you listening, if you have any questions, or if you need a little bit of advice, or if you just want to have a chat about AI, get in touch with me on LinkedIn. I'm around. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to support. So don't be afraid. Reach out, and let's see how this goes. The I want us to sort of all become comfortable using AI, so we can all elevate the profession, and we can stop this nonsense of internal comms being tactical, and everybody can do comms just because they speak English, because that's not the case.
We really need to do this webinar together, Erik. I think there is potential. Before to close the call, I would like also to share that our next events will take place on November 20. where I will be joined by a new guest to talk about a very different topic. We will talk about change in communication. I will share more detail on social next week, but that is for now. So thank you all of you for being here and your support. Thank you, Leah, for your help to coordinate and promote everything. Erik, obviously, it really means a lot. So I would say have a great evening to everyone in Europe and Middle East, and have a wonderful rest of the day for our peer in North America. And I see you soon.